Okay. So talking about Spain, does anybody know the name for this letter?
I don't know the name, but I know that it's an N with a ñ sound.
Nya. Good. Excellent. Nya. So what's that called in Spanish? They're very proud of it. Okay. It's called the Enye. Enye. Because it really represents the sound. Enye. So España, right? It's sort of nasal with a Y, N-Y, España. Absolutely. Okay. Questions then. Let's see somebody can write down in the chat box. Let's have a bit of general knowledge then. Can somebody tell me what's the capital of Spain? Anybody tell me? Madrid, says Leah. Well done. It's Madrid. And what's the second largest city in Spain, which is Madrid's direct rival? Barcelona. Barcelona, absolutely. Well done. What's the official language of Spain? What's the official language of Spain? Spanish. That's good. And Barcelona, which is in the Catalan. Well, that's the official language in the Barcelona area. Very good. So there are 4 official languages apart from Spanish, which are Catalan, the Basque language, the Galician language, which is out on the Atlantic coast, and Valenciano. Valenciano is very, very similar to the Catalan language. Okay, good. Approximately how many people live in Spain in millions? 30 million, 40 million, 50 million? How many do you think? About 45 million. Excellent. About 40 million, says Julius. That's very good. Yep, very good. And which part of Spain, do you know the names of the parts of Spain which are the most popular holiday destinations? Remember, tourism is one of the main features of the Spanish economy. Mallorca, good. Anywhere else? Malaga, Costa Brava. Yeah. So we've got lots of costas. There we go. So we've got the Costa Brava. Okay. We've got the Costa Blanca. We've got the Costa del Sol. Okay. So different costas. These are different regions of the coast. Yep. Ibiza. That's a very big holiday destination too. Different kind of tourism. Yep. And who's the president of Spain? Do you know? Not the president, actually the prime minister. Remember, there's no president in Spain because there's a king. Sanchez. Okay, Prime Minister Sanchez. And what party does he represent? Is it a more left-wing party or a more right-wing party? Left. Good. Yeah. So it's President or Prime Minister Sanchez, and he represents the Socialist Party. Very good. Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Good. Okay. Good. Okay, let's have a few more questions then. A few more questions. Here we go. Have a look at this. I want you to write down. Here we go. How well would you fit in Spain? Let's see how much you know already. So I want you to write down your answer in the chat box. You make a note if you want to on a piece of paper. It doesn't really matter. So which of these stereotypes is true about Spanish people? Which one is true? The Spanish people are lazy and work very little. That is one stereotype. Spanish people are extremely outgoing and love to party. Or most Spanish people are friendly and have a warm personality. What do you think? It says A, but obviously it should be ABC. So what do you think? In the chat box, please. A, B, or C? Okay, so it's B or C, right? Okay. So yeah, I think it's probably C. Most people, Spanish people are friendly and have a warm personality. That is true, and Spanish people like talking. That's good. They all love to party. I don't know. I don't know if they all love to party, but most Spanish people are friendly and have a warm personality. That's good. What about number two then? Number two, if you were Spanish, would you eat less for lunch and have a bigger meal for dinner? Dinner, we're talking about your evening meal. B, would you eat the same amount of food for lunch and dinner? Or would you have bigger meals at lunch and less for dinner? So more at midday and less in the evening. Is it A, B, or C? Jade says C. Hannah says A. Anybody else? Okay, it's going to be, remember, it's going to be C. So midday meals are larger and longer than evening meals. Perhaps there's an exception on weekends, but normally evening meals are smaller than midday meals. Good. Okay. You meet a friend. Number three, you meet a friend on the way to school, and two kisses are a must. Well, how would you? How would you? Okay, how would you start? It doesn't matter very much. Do you kiss them on the left cheek, sorry, on the right cheek, or do you kiss them on the left cheek? Where do you begin? On the left or on the right? Well, everybody seems to say you kiss them on the left cheek. Absolutely. So you kiss them your left, which is going to be their right. Okay? Not the other way round. So you go to the left. Always go to the left. Okay? It's always two kisses. French people, it's three kisses. Okay. I'll be honest though, since COVID, you know, um, it doesn't matter very much. And, if you're not Spanish, it doesn't matter too much either. Okay. You can shake a hand or give some fist in the middle. Sorry, give a fist in the middle. That's absolutely fine, or whatever you like. You don't have to kiss everybody. Remember, when you get into large family gatherings, everybody is kissing everybody. And in fact, this is one of the reasons that a lot of family gatherings take so long to finish. Because once everybody has got round kissing everybody else, and as they're just kissing somebody, they say, "Oh, I just remembered I wanted to talk to you about this, that, and the other." It goes on and on and on. It's something to behold. Okay. Number four, you sorry, you fall over in front of a group of people, a big group of people, and you hit your head. How would you express your embarrassment? Well, let's say maybe you don't hit your head, but maybe your phone falls or your bag opens, something like this. So, what would you say? Would you say, A, estoy embarazada? Would you say, B, qué miedo? Or would you say, C, qué vergüenza? What would you say as you fall over and everybody sees the fact that your bag is full of old sandwiches or something, or bananas? A says, estoy embarazada. Anybody else? Que miedo, says Victoria. Max says que vergüenza. Absolutely. A means pregnant, of course. Yeah. So if you go and say, estoy embarazada, they say, oh, you're pregnant. Oh, that's a really bad moment to fall. We're really sorry. And they would help you. If you said, que vergüenza, which is C, yeah, how embarrassing. How embarrassing. So I have two words there, what we call in language a false friend. A false friend, that's a word which looks similar between two languages, and actually it's not the same. So embarrassed is not embarazada. Okay. And there we are. Number 5. You're going to cook a typical Spanish dish for your friends. What would you prefer? What would you prepare? Sorry. Would it be A, fajitas? Would it be B, tacos? Or would it be C, tortilla? And Handanur says C, and Lena says C. Jade says A, some fajitas. Leah, Pelin say C, that's tortilla. Absolutely, it's a tortilla. It's a tortilla. Fajitas and tacos are Mexican food. Mexican food is not very typical in Spain. It exists, you know. You'll find it in cities, Mexican places, but they're not common. So it would be a tortilla. And remember, a tortilla is not a Mexican tortilla. It's a it's an omelette, isn't it? And it's a big, hearty omelette, which is normally made with, which is the ingredients you need to make an omelette. Number 1, eggs. Number 2, potatoes. Absolutely. So it's a potato omelette. A potato omelette with onion, Victoria. Some people don't want onion in it. Some people do. This is the national debate. Should it be with or without onion? Okay. And obviously, and it's cooked in olive oil. Okay, except the price of olive oil has tripled. Okay, it's now 3 times the price it was 2 years ago, and people are using less olive oil. Okay. But absolutely, it would be a tortilla. A tortilla is like everybody's favorite food. You know, I'm from England, and you know what our national dish is in England? Toast, right? Everybody loves toast. Nobody would say no to a piece of toast in England. So, you know, in Spain, it's tortilla. You know, you get home late. If you've got a tortilla in the fridge, do it. But it actually takes quite a long time to prepare. That's a Spanish omelette anyway. Okay, anyway, we'll see some more questions of those. Let's go on. What do Spanish people worry about? Please write down what are some of the things which you think concern Spanish people in general. What are the things they worry about? What are important things for Spanish people? Family. Yeah, that's nice. Family. More. Football scores. Less than you imagine. Okay. Spain is not as football crazy as I thought it was, except maybe when the Spanish team is playing. What else? Yeah, employment and jobs. That's really important. Food. Oh God, they worry about food all the time. Yes, they do. Anything else you know of? Education, absolutely. They definitely do worry about education. Yeah. Housing, yep. They're worried about the price of housing now as well. And everybody wants a new home, right? Nobody wants a second house, second-hand flat. Everybody wants a new place. Low salaries, definitely. Salaries really are quite low in Spain. Anything else? What about international things which maybe affect Spain? Tourism, yeah, they do. That's really important. That's great, actually, Leah, because it is true that the Spanish people are now starting to think about, do we want so much tourism? Yeah. Politics, yes, because in Spain, politics are becoming a little bit divisive and kind of a little bit more extreme, like in many countries in Europe. Um, Climate change and heat waves. Okay, yeah, definitely climate change. Wow, because the summers are getting so hot. Okay, they are becoming so hot. Really, this summer has been incredibly hot. And sangria recipes, no. Again, probably yes. So it might be. It might be because people in Spanish people love to talk. So immediately, if somebody mentioned sangria, somebody else was like, "Oh no, but I make a much better version of sangria than you do," and the conversation takes off, and so on. But again, sangria is not something which many Spanish people drink. Okay, again, because it's kind of elaborated, so it's something they sell in bars, and it's okay. But there's a simpler version of sangria which is called tinto, which is red wine. Tinto de verano, that's a summer red wine, which is basically just red wine with soda and some ice. So it's a much easier version of making sangria. That's a little bit more popular or more common. Okay. So the things that people worry about, good. Money. They never talk about money. Spanish people don't talk about money. So I don't know, in your country, could you ask somebody, how much do you earn? What's your salary? I don't know. But in Spain, you could not. You wouldn't. Okay. So very, very discreet when it comes to talking about money. They worry about their home very much, as we saw yesterday. They worry about education. Yep. Um, they worry about health and healthcare. Luckily, the Spanish healthcare system is absolutely excellent. It's all very new, very digital based, so you can get treatment very quickly, and it's very, very good. Work, their personal image, absolutely. You will be surprised when you go to school that some of the teachers, good heavens, they look like they're going to a wedding. All right. Doesn't mean you have to. And particularly the female teachers. All right. Some of the female teachers, not all, they really dress up. You think, gosh, you're looking absolutely wonderful. It doesn't mean that you have to. Okay. So Spanish people do kind of spend a long time thinking about what they're going to put on, and am I dressed well, and dressing for different occasions. Okay. Food, yep, definitely, and family. So those are the most important things. So we're going to go on to number one. This is going to be quick today. We're not going to spend too much time. Food, okay, live to eat, they say. We live to eat. We don't eat to live. This is what the Spanish people say. Then one of the great pleasures of life is being able to have a meal. Okay. And it's a social activity to be enjoyed and shared with others. Okay. And the daily rhythm, daily routine is based on meal times. And if you want to get used to Spanish life, eating at the right time is the first step. Okay. And I said this before, if you are with a Spanish family and you say, well, I'm going to Valencia today, so I won't be eating at home. one of the first things they will ask is, where are you going to eat? Okay? Who are you going to eat with? Now, you might come to Valencia. I'll tell you what, if you come to Valencia, um, you know, on a Saturday, you can easily go to a supermarket and buy some food, and there's some great places around the beach or in a park, and you get your food out and have a picnic, and you're absolutely fine. The Spanish people, Spanish families, oh my God, that's not eating. How can you do that? Okay. So sometimes it's just best to say, oh yeah, I'm meeting some friends and we're going to have lunch at a restaurant or something. Anyway, um, the meals you have to remember are the desayuno, which is breakfast, and it's a very short meal. It might be cereal, it might be muffins, okay? In Spanish kids, what do they do? Anybody been with a Spanish family and seen Spanish kids in the morning? What they do with their muffins? No? Okay, go on, Victoria, I bet you know. Okay. Spanish kids generally drink kind of cocoa or hot chocolate. It might not be warmed up in the morning. It might be sort of Nesquik or something like that. And then they get a plate full of muffins or some cookies, and and they tend to stick the muffin right or some bread, and they put it in the chocolate milk drink. Um, until it's this horrible mixture of kind of bread or crumbs or cookies or whatever mixed in with the milk. Okay. And that is what they eat. Okay. So they eat it with the milk or with the chocolate milk or whatever. Okay. So it's quick. You would then have an almuerzo. So that's a mid-morning snack or coffee break, which might be a sandwich or a bocadillo, which might be something like you gave anything for me. Okay. Which might be something like a slice of tortilla, okay, or ham. Okay, it might be in a bar. It depends where you are. Different parts of the country um, have specific habits. So, for example, in the north of Spain, the almuerzo is not that important, but in Valencia, it's an institution. Where people leave the office and they go out and have a big kind of stuffed roll with meat and cheese and peppers and stuff, plus a beer, plus a cup of coffee, and then some olives, and it takes them a long time. That's only in this particular part of the country. Almuerzo is optional. And then you have your comida, which is your lunch. Okay. Your lunch, which is going to be the largest meal of the day. And normally it is first course, second course, and dessert. Normally. Okay. You can then take a rest afterwards. And kids normally have this merienda, not so common amongst adults, but that's a late afternoon snack, which again, might be sweets, it might be a piece of fruit, it might be a donut or something like that, might be another cup of coffee, little things like that. That's the merienda. A merienda could also be something which you have in the countryside on a weekend, when you're going out to, really it's like a picnic or a barbecue. So if they told you on the weekend, we're going to have a merienda, that means we're going out maybe to have lunch or a late afternoon meal at the beach. Okay. And then you've got your cena, which is your evening meal, Spanish dinner, which is light, but sometimes you've also got your first course, your second course, and your dessert. And at weekends, it is very common that dinner is not served until 10 o'clock in the evening. Now, I'm going to tell you, you really have to be careful with those evening meals, especially if you're coming from a long way, or if you're if you're used to going to bed at 9 or 10 in the evening, you're going to have to keep your eyes open and have your evening meal before you go to bed. And it might be difficult at the beginning, but you'll you'll get used to it. You'll absolutely get used to it. Okay, so don't worry. By the time you're in Madrid, you'll be having your evening meal on the orientation days at about 8. Okay. So you get used to it then. By the second time we meet, hopefully we meet up sometime late November as a group. And if I arrange lunch, for midday, 12 o'clock or 12:30, you'll be telling me, oh, that's far too early. That's far too early. We want lunch at Spanish time at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay. So do's and don'ts. We looked at these yesterday when it comes to food and how important this is for Spanish families. First of all, try everything. Okay, try everything they give you, unless obviously if it's a meat dish and you're a vegetarian, then excuse yourself and that's fine. Offer to cook. Yeah, you can offer to cook. The default Spanish view is that foreigners don't know how to cook. Okay, so offer to cook. Yeah, you can come and help me make the tortilla or make whatever it is. But as you gain confidence in the family, obviously, they'd love you to cook. Okay? Yes, say it's the best thing you've ever eaten. When they give you something new to try, they will ask you, do you like it? Do you like this cured ham or this melon or this rice dish I'm going to give you? Do you like it? And you must, unless you really don't like it, then you must flatter them. Flattery always works in Spain. Okay, so just say it's the best thing you've ever eaten and you'll be safe, or something along those lines. Okay, yes, if you want more, ask for more and they will offer you more, and they'll be very happy to. It's funny that the Spanish don't normally keep leftovers, and so a lot of food gets wasted. Okay? Yes, offer to help lay the table and do the washing up. And number one, I'm going to tell you, speak English at meals. Speak English with the kids at meals. It's not being rude, it's being extremely proactive. And this is the moment when the parents are seeing that the kids are speaking English. Okay. Things not to do. Number one, Spanish custom is that most people eat bread with meals. And so it is very common to sit down and there's a kind of stick of bread which has been cut up already and is in the middle, and each person can take their piece of bread. However, it is not customary to eat the bread before the meal begins. It's to be eaten with the meal. And so a very, very typical argument at dinner tables is between the parents and the kids. And the parents say, don't eat the bread. Don't eat the bread yet. Okay? Don't say you're not hungry. Please don't say you're not hungry. That doesn't exist in the Spanish kind of psyche. If you come in to a meal because it's a meal time, you must therefore be hungry and you must therefore eat. Okay? And don't ever excuse yourself from a meal by saying you're not hungry. Why? Because the meal times are more than the food, it's the social aspect. If you read up on something which they call the Mediterranean diet, which is obviously common and typical in Spain, the Mediterranean diet, which is recognized by the United Nations as part of cultural heritage, humanity of humanity. It does mention specifically it's not only the food. Yes, it is the ingredients and the way it's made, but it's the social aspect of people preparing food together and talking about food and being together and spending more time eating together. Okay, don't buy your own food, please. Okay, don't eat. Okay, eat out of the family home or say that your country's food is better. Okay, two things there. So don't say, unless you are meeting people to go and have a meal or you've got plans to go and do something, yeah, just tell them. But don't do it instead, please. Okay, if you don't like the food, you will get used to it. It's generally very, very good. But don't do this and say, well, I'm going to buy something and I'll have something because I recognize pizzas or something else I'm seeing along the way. I'd rather spend money and do that. Okay, don't say that your country's food is better, right? The Spanish will laugh at you. What do you mean? How could anybody's food be better than ours? Honestly, they honestly won't believe you. Okay. You can explain, and it's a good moment for Spanish people have to understand that there is good food everywhere. And so explain some of the good things. When you offer to cook, make some of the good things from your own country or things that you've learned when you've seen other people cooking or when you've cooked for yourself. Okay. Don't ask for ketchup. People will be horrified if you're having a nice paella in Valencia and you say, oh, I want some ketchup, please. Oh my God. They probably say, we don't have any ketchup. Okay. And don't ask to repeat. Well, before we said, yes, you should ask for a repeat. Don't keep some food to eat later on in your room. This is something which happened. We had a volunteer who felt that the meals she was being given were too large, but she felt hungry between meals. And so she would kind of keep a little bit and take it into her room. Spanish people, the Spanish family did not understand this. You might like to take an apple, yeah, maybe an apple or a piece of fruit which you could eat yourself later on when you're alone. I think it's probably the limit. Okay. Don't offer to pay for food. All right. This is a very, very yeah, this is a question of interpretation. Like we said before, we have false friends. We have words which look similar. So embarrassed and embarazada, and they're completely different. Embarrassed is when you feel awkward or uncomfortable because of something you did, and embarazada is when you're expecting a child. Now, we have the word in Spanish, the verb to invitar, which is like to invite. Okay? If somebody invites you, invita, that means they're inviting you to go for a meal or to the cinema or somewhere else. If they invite you, it means they are paying. That's important. If you are in a bar and you're having a coffee and somebody says te invito, means I am paying for your coffee. Okay? So if you're being invitado, then please don't offer to pay for food. However, you have to be very, very clear. You have to be very, very clear. If the family or anybody else is inviting you to go somewhere for a weekend or for some event, it's a difficult question, but I think you can ask, you know, how much must I pay? How much is the ticket? Um, how much is the meal at this restaurant? Okay. Normally they will shrug it off. Of course, no, please. It's our treat for you. We want to invite you to the meal. But we did have one case. This case was a volunteer who was in the north of Spain, and the family said, would you like to come and spend your Easter holidays with us? And he thought, well, that sounds nice. So he went off and they were away for 5 nights in a hotel, eating in restaurants and so on. And at the end, they said, well, yeah, this is how much it's all cost. Okay. And it was quite a lot of money. And they were expecting him to pay for the things he had had. It's very odd. So I think it is don't worry. feel comfortable asking. Obviously, if it's other young people, other people of your age, this is not going to be an issue. It's one of the first things which they establish. Okay, but definitely don't offer to pay for food at home. And finally, don't use your phone at the table. Again, this is one of the massive problems which families have when they see their kids using a phone at the table, and the kid says, "Oh yeah, but look, Hannah's doing it or Jade's doing it. Why can't I?" So leave your phone in your bedroom at meal times, unless you see their family has different customs. Okay. Some families even have a phone basket next to the table where you put your phone in. All right. This is something else I need to discuss with you. Wi-Fi connection at home. Some families will also have a Wi-Fi curfew because they don't want their kids being connected all night. Now it might be that Wi-Fi curfew means that 11 at night, Wi-Fi is off until 7 in the morning. Okay. That's something to talk about with the family. Maybe it's the only time of day that you can speak to your family. Anyway, talk about it. All right. Anyway, here we have some Spanish foods. Okay. Spanish foods. Number one. When would you have that? It's called a Magdalena, but it looks like a muffin to me. When would you have that? Breakfast, dinner? Sorry, breakfast, lunch, or dinner? It's a muffin, please. Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? The first one here, if you can see that. When would you, let's put it, maybe let's see it in Spanish. Desayuno, comida, or cena. A, A, B, or C.
Desayuno.
Desayuno, absolutely. So your Magdalena, excuse me for that. Your Magdalena there is a breakfast. Breakfast dish, absolutely. Normally as breakfast. Okay. Your tortilla de patata, tortilla de patata. There's your potato omelette. That is your Spanish tortilla. Okay, you see it there? When would you have that? Breakfast, lunch, or dinner? Okay. Most commonly as dinner, actually, not necessarily for lunch. Okay, so tortilla de patata is more common for dinner. Yep, it is an evening meal. Morcilla, morcilla, which is a blood sausage. I'm sorry, vegetarians. It's a sausage made out of blood and cereal. It's like in England we would call it black pudding. Morcilla. That's normally eaten in the evening as well. It's quite heavy, I tell you, and it's fried, and it doesn't taste bad, okay, because it's got spices and onions in it. And it is one of the things I would say, if that was offered to you, try it, then decide, unless it really puts you off, okay? The bocadillo, the jamon. There's our bocadillo, the jamon. It's not a sandwich, it's a bocadillo. Lunch? I don't think so. That would be more dinner or one of the other meals. There's your cereales. Breakfast, yeah. Okay. Spanish are not big cereal people. Even things like oats or porridge or things muesli, which are very common. That might be the only thing where you say to the family, listen, I'm like eating Magdalene muffins in the morning is not my thing. I really normally eat muesli or something else. That might be acceptable. Cocido. Cocido. Jade says, cocido is a massive dish which consists of a soup with noodles or pasta, of a chickpea and vegetable stew, and then large amounts of stewed cooked meat, which might be beef or chicken or pork. Okay, that is only ever eaten midday, a cocido. It's a massive meal. You really need a rest afterwards, and it's an acquired taste. All right. It's more common in the north of Spain. There we go. The pescadito frito, that's fried fish. When you normally have those. Pescadito, normally that's an evening meal, okay? It would be an evening meal or tapas, which you would have with a glass of wine or something to drink. Then we got our torrijas. I'm going to go through quickly. Torrijas, which is basically what we call French toast, which is bread which is dipped in egg and then fried and then put some sugar and cinnamon put on it. Wouldn't be for breakfast. No, that would be for lunch as dessert or an evening meal. And then we've got our mighty paella. Okay. When you come to Valencia and you have a paella, wow. Okay. So it's the paella, which is cooked in this big dish, and it's a very communal occasion, and people eat out of the same dish together and so on. Your paella, this is lunch. Absolutely. Okay, regarded by the Valencias as the pinnacle of cooking, of world cooking. There could be nothing greater than a paella. Okay, when they say we're going to have rice, they normally mean we're going to have a paella because there are many different versions. Lechazo, which is roast lamb. Again, this would be a lunchtime meal. It's too heavy to have in the evening. Croquetas, there we go. Let me go through croquetas, which is everybody's favorite fried thing, is normally an evening meal. A fabada, which again is a massive bean and sausage and morcilla stew, normally midday. Huevos rotos, which is a mixture of fried potatoes or French fries plus scrambled eggs plus ham or chorizo or some other kind of sausage. That is often an evening meal. Then you've got your octopus, pulpo, again, evening meal or tapas, tosta con tomate, which is very, very nice. And that is breakfast. Okay, and then we go on. Gazpacho, which is a cold soup any time of day except the morning. Rabas, which is cooked calamari, fried calamari, again, more for an evening meal. Churros. Okay, churros. When do you eat churros? For
Dessert.
breakfast. Sorry, go on.
Dessert.
Okay, okay. Churros is eaten in the morning. It's a breakfast thing. Mainly weekends. You wouldn't have them all the time. Okay, they're extremely popular, more so in the north of Spain. And then we've got migas and some other things. I've never eaten migas. I don't really know what they are. Okay, there we go. Some typical dishes: your tortilla de patata, croquetas, huevos rotos, patatas bravas, all very popular, very often served. If you were out in a bar as tapas, okay, or something similar. Paella, pisto, which is like ratatouille, okay. Cocido, which is this medieval bean stew. Gazpacho or salmorejo, which are cold soups. Pulpo, which is pulpo a la gallega, which is boiled octopus. Very nice if you like octopus and a very strong seafood flavor. And a cachopo, which is this kind of weird thing, which is a steak, which is then covered. Let's say it's like a steak and it's got cheese and then it's got ham and then the whole thing is put in batter and fried. Okay. So It's very, very strong. And people eat that for dinner, actually. But anyway, there we go. It's up to you to go and then choose and try as many things as you like. Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the history of Spain. Okay. Let's talk about the history of Spain and see why that is important to us today. Okay. So, Spain has had diverse cultures. It's had Goths, it's had Visigoths, it's had all sorts of people coming through. But you know, the first, let's say, the first group of people who had a visible impact on Spain were actually the Phoenicians, who came from the east of the Mediterranean, and you would see in places like Galicia or down in Andalusia or even near here on the coast, you would see remains of Phoenician ports because they were a seagoing people and they created trade routes around the Mediterranean. Okay, so Phoenicians were important. You might see the Celts as well. There are Celtic regions on the northern coast, the western coast, and you will see they have much in common with the Irish. So you will see people in Galicia who you look at and wow, you could be Irish, you know, with a red hair and Irish features. Um, you would see the kind of, Celtic crosses and symbols, which are very common in Ireland or in Scotland as well. So you also see that. But we can say that organizationally, or culturally, or as regards society, they didn't have a huge impact on Spanish society. The first to come in were the Romans. Okay, they invaded 200 years before before Christ. Okay, so that's over 2,200 years ago, and they immediately set up places, fortifications. So Tarragona, Valencia, Alicante, Segovia, Salamanca, Pamplona, all these places, Cordoba, these were Roman settlements. Okay, they started with the Romans. Okay, what did they want from Spain? They wanted gold and they wanted silver, they wanted resources to take back to Rome. And they found them and they mined many metals, but they mined gold and silver. And most of their routes, you can see on this map, the Roman roads, we can see that they were connecting places where they mined different elements to take them back to Rome. So if you see up here in the north, it says Pamplona, and then there was this is called Castro, which is a port now, which is a seaside town. Actually, what they were mining there was salt. And so they were taking the salt up here to the sea. They were mining it in the Basque Country to ship back to Rome. So Roman, you will see Roman remains here. Very interesting. Also, that after the Romans, the Visigoths came in. They did not contribute a whole lot. Okay, so there was about 500 years. Let's see. Okay, the Visigothic kingdom was created in 418. Yeah, you won't see too much evidence of what they did, but in the 8th century, in 716, the Moors, the Muslims, arrived in Spain. Okay, and the Muslims were here for over 700 years, and it's really important because the legacy of the Muslims has been erased in many ways from Spanish society. So you won't see mosques in many places. You might see Muslim castles or palaces, but very few. Most of them have been converted into Christian palaces in the last 400 years. But that the Muslims, the Moors, that's from the north of Africa, So they came in from the north of Africa. After that itself was conquered by the Arabs from further east, and they brought in culture, they brought in science, they brought in agricultural techniques. And most of Spain, especially in the Mediterranean region, the agricultural and irrigation techniques are the same. They have not actually changed in 700 years. And you can see it, it's very, very visible. They brought in products, palm trees, dates, they brought in many other things, bananas and so on, okay? They brought in animals as well from Africa. So they came in through the Moorish and Muslim settlements. Spain does not pay very much attention to this, as though it's something they're a little bit embarrassed about. But they also brought in science, okay? So the Muslims, then the Moors, came in and brought science and medicine, which was far in advance of what was in existence in the north of Europe, for example. Okay. At the end of the 15th century, the Muslims were expelled together with the Jews, okay, and they fled eastwards, either to North Africa or across the Mediterranean at that time, to Italy, to Greece, to Romania. Okay, so if you were a student of Jewish history, you would know there's three different strands of Judaism, and many of the ones who left Spain, okay, are called the Sephardis, the Sephardic Jews, who are the Jews with no country. All right, a law was passed not that long ago, about 20 years, where the Spanish government wanted to say sorry to the international Jewish community, people who had been expelled, and they said anybody who could prove that their descendancy or ascendancy was based in Spain, their forefathers or forebearers, many years before had been expelled, would be given automatic Spanish citizenship. Okay. So Jewish communities all over the place around Spain, but not actually in Spain for many years, and the Moors too. Okay. So we have to say that when the Moors left, what they left was, a pretty well organized society. The Catholic kings, who was Isabel and Ferdinand, came in, and about the same time, 15th century and during the 16th century, the Spanish Empire grew. Okay, this was based on the fact that Christopher Columbus received the commission to travel east to find a route, actually, sorry, travel west. They thought they were finding a new route to India, but actually they discovered, or said they discovered, something called America. And they were able to plunder America for many, many natural resources, silver, gold, and so on, the whole of South America. And they brought it all back, and there was incredible wealth, to the point where Spain was such a major imperial power. They said the sun never set on the Spanish Empire. It went all the way to Philippines and then all the way around to Mexico. And in fact, a lot of what is today the United States was part of the Spanish Empire. They sold it off pretty cheaply, okay? They stayed in Cuba and the Philippines until the end of the 19th century, when those were both taken from them, okay? However, and that is why we've got, the presence of Spanish, which is all around the world. Okay, during that time, there were great works of art, literature, palaces, paintings, fantastic riches. That heritage is on, is on show. It is there. You can see it the way it was, 300-400 years ago, and you will see it everywhere you go. Okay. In the 19th century, Napoleon invaded Spain. He fooled the Spanish, said he was going to Portugal, wouldn't stay long. But once his troops crossed Spain, They said, oh, we quite like it here, we'll stay. And so they stayed here, and Napoleon's brother became the King of Spain for a while, okay, or the Emperor of Spain. That was a traumatic period, okay? And if you look at any of the paintings by Goya, you'll see what happened, okay? What you'll see next after that, the Napoleonic invasions and the War of Secession, they called it, which was the war to get Spain back into Spanish hands. There were years of a lot of turbulence right up until 1936, where the Civil War broke out. That was between left and right. Okay, basically left and right prior to the Second World War. Okay, it's almost like a rehearsal ground, a practice for the Second World War. So the left were being armed and being organized by the Soviet Union to a certain extent, and the right were being organized and supplied with weapons by Italy and by Germany. Okay, very, very traumatic. There's terrible stories about this, absolutely terrible stories about this. You can read about it yourself, but it was brutal, and the dictatorship afterwards was brutal. Okay? Can you imagine? Some people even say today, "Oh, it was much better after. It was much better when Franco was in power. It was much better with a dictatorship." They said there was no divorce, no immigrants. Everything worked well. The police had powers. So this is like some sort of weird harking back to the good old days. Very, very few people say this, but be careful. If somebody says this, they're either joking or you want to get away because you don't really want to engage in conversation with people who think that a dictatorship was better. Okay. And today, this is where we are with 17 different autonomous communities. Okay. What happened was when, after the dictatorship, the Basque country and the Catalan region were very, very strident in their claims for some kind of autonomous government. And so the consensus was, okay, if you're going to have autonomous government, everybody's going to have autonomous government. So let's create 17 different regions, as I said yesterday, each with their own Ministry of Education, each with their own Ministry of Transport, each with their own Ministry of Health, right? And that meant everybody was happy. It also means there's a lot of regional rivalry, and people define themselves by the region they are from. I don't know if this happens in the United States. I don't know if this happens in Australia. I'm a Western Australian. I don't want to know anything about you Queenslanders. I don't know. I don't think it's anything like here in Spain. Okay. People, these regional identities are very, very important, and they are played upon by politicians. It's always a good way of getting people to identify with a particular party or not. All right. Spain today is very modern. Okay. It's very, very modern, and it's very, very progressive. Okay. So there's a minimum wage. It belongs to NATO. Gender and diversity, again, 100% protected by law. Even language is protected by law, in the sense you cannot be using derogatory terms about somebody's whatever the characteristics are, whether it's cultural or ethnic. Okay, it is not permitted. All right, so the first time ever recently you would have a football match being stopped because there was some racist chanting towards a player of a particular ethnicity or from a particular country. Right? That would not have happened before. And people have been fined and people have been banned from going back to football forever. Right. There are four different police forces in Spain. We've got the Guardia Civil, who look like soldiers, they dress in green, the National Police, who dress in dark blue, and then the local and regional police, who are really more in charge of things like traffic and stuff like this, things that go on in towns and city. But they are all armed, okay? They all carry arms, guns. Okay. Spain is the third most popular tourist destination and becoming more so. Tourism is going up. Why? Because people are discovering not only the old tourist areas, Barcelona and the coast and the resorts, they're discovering lots of places inland, the north of Spain, Valencia, which is becoming very, very popular too. 40% of Spanish youth go to university, which suggests to us two things. One, it's very, very cheap to go to university. Okay. It costs something like 600 euros a year to go to university, which it used to be like in many other countries, but many other countries now have introduced tuition fees. So 40% of people are able to go to university, but it also suggests that people think there are not too many other options. And actually, there probably are, because the main number of vacancies in Spain are actually in the trades. So if you came over and you were a builder, a plumber, a bricklayer, an electrician, you would find it very easy to get work in Spain these days, because everybody else is going off to university to study other things. Right. Free healthcare for Spanish people. And if you've got your global health card, okay, or your European health card, it is completely free. You don't have to pay anything. And that is right through the system. And human rights, absolutely protected. There's no persecution of minorities here. And everybody enjoys the same rights. Together with that, there's an emerging immigrant population, and some people, there's a party called Vox, which is anti-immigration, got about 10% of the vote last time. When we're talking about racism in Spain, we have to make a distinction, okay? It is still an issue, like I said yesterday, with the words and language which people use, okay? Like the chinito, the negrito, these words. They are not intended to be racist, but people have to learn what the right terms are when you're speaking to somebody or referring to somebody else, okay? So this is something which is ongoing. However, some people do maintain racist attitudes. We would say that most racism is directed towards the Roma community. Gypsies, if you call them gypsies, it's almost like insulting them. It's just implying that they are not honest, they are not good, they are not clean, they're not like us, they are outcasts. But to a certain extent, when they talk about people from Eastern Europe, Romanians, or when they talk about Latin people from South America, Moroccans, they can be quite disparaging, the comments. Okay, this is that we need to be conscious that we need to educate children into this. Okay, sexism, right? Sexism, this used to be terrible. People used to say, Spanish guys, especially, we're going to talk about this way, Spanish guys would be pinching bottoms and would be, making lewd comments and saying things to girls, women, as they walk down the street. This is now completely outlawed. This is not allowed in the slightest. And you, the majority of you, are women. You do not have to put up with this at all. Okay? You find somebody nearby and you report that person. If it's in a pub, if it's in a bar, you tell somebody behind the bar, or somebody, if there's a doorman there, door staff. If this happened at school, immediately tell people, okay? Tell your supervisor, tell other teachers, all right? So it shouldn't be happening. But anyway, you have to then think, you also have to think that the physical space, now physical personal space is different. And so people can get closer to you and you think, or it feels like intimacy. For the other person, it's not, it's completely normal. But you keep your space, all right? Defend your space. And exactly to the point that you feel comfortable. Okay, nobody should be touching you at all if you don't want to be touched. Nobody should be hugging you or kissing you if you do not want to be hugged or kissed. All right, that is your comfort zone for you to determine so that you feel safe and relaxed and in control. How do we do this? It's normally easier if you're in a social event to sit down instead of being standing up, of course, because that creates, a particular space between you and the other person. All right. Homosexuality is absolutely, and any kind of sexual diversity, completely 100% accepted. It's still a bit, there's still people who say, well, I don't like that, and they shouldn't be displaying their affections in public or their orientation or their lifestyle choice, whatever you're going to call it. Okay. But, there's a very, very big gay pride week in Spain, one of the biggest in Europe. And it absolutely protected and absolutely accepted and acceptable. Okay. Okay. But there we are. Spanish language always has common expressions like maricón, and maricón, which is literally um, uh, a gay man, like in English we would say a puff. So it's not a massively insulting term compared with some others, right? But yeah, so maricón. However, maricón is also used for somebody who might have slightly effeminate manners, or somebody who's just not like manly enough. Okay. So you find it used, the whole spectrum, but it is not acceptable anymore. And that's really important. It's not acceptable to be used. Okay, so transsexuality and so on also starting to be taken seriously in Spain. Very early days, okay? Very early days, which means that there's a lot of noise, much ado about nothing, they might say. There's a lot of noise about a transsexual doing this or doing that or being found here or being found there. Wow, this is magnified. So it seems like there are millions of transsexuals or millions of children looking for reassignment, gender reassignment. It's just not happening. Okay. There's a law here, and this is really important for you. I don't get involved in anybody's personal life. Okay. And you must only share any details that you want to share as you feel comfortable doing. If you want to do it through another volunteer, if you want to do it through your home organization and then have them transmit that to me. If there's a difficulty in your life which is making things uncomfortable, I'm absolutely open. I've seen everything. Okay, I have seen everything. And everything has a solution, luckily. Right. But there's a law which says solo si es si. Only yes is yes. Okay? Only yes is yes. Now, let me tell you the story. 2 days ago, I live in Valencia. 2 days ago, big football star, big soccer star was arrested. He had met um, a young woman, at a club one night. They'd gone back to his place. Apparently, he had assaulted her sexually. This is what said. He's now been arrested by the police. He's in custody. And the argument is that she did not want to proceed with whatever they were doing, okay, of a sexual nature. He insisted, but because she did not give him permission, he's now guilty of rape. Okay, that is sexual assault. So the law in Spain says you must clearly say yes. You must clearly give your consent. If not, then it is not. If not, it is an offence. Okay, it is a crime. All right, they're really important. This was particularly based on cases of young women who might have been under the effect of drink or drugs being taken advantage of. Okay, so that again, that is completely illegal unless there's clear evidence that is yes. Okay, we have had instance of sexual assault over the years in Spain, only one. Okay, and we called this number, which is 016, okay, which is a number to report gender violence. Our volunteer was seen by a team of female psychologists, police officers, detectives, was referred to a female lawyer, of course, very, very quickly and very efficiently. Okay, and this was sorted out. Okay. Now, Solo CSC. Now, you are protected. Of course, you are protected. As we say, you are protected against everything except your own stupidity. And not my quote. This is somebody else, right? I don't say you, I say we. Okay, we're protected against everything except our own stupidity. However, when we're moving into a new cultural setting, like we're coming to live in Spain, we don't understand all the norms. Okay? We need to get up to scratch and up to speed very quickly. People are normally friendly. They are casual, informal. This idea about personal space being invaded or shared, the touching, you know, holding somebody's arm, the kissing hello, kissing goodbye. You have to decide what is good for you. All right? Make sure that people are listening to you when you say things. Okay? Make sure people are listening to you and that you are listening to them, and you make sure that everything is understood. All right. So one of the worst things that can happen, you'll go out at night, you meet a group of really friendly people who said, hey, we're going on somewhere else. Well, they seem like really nice people. I've known them for an hour and a half. Shouldn't be any problem there. You get in a car with them. Where are we going? How far is it? What is this place we're going? Who is going to be there? How do I get home afterwards? Those are the questions you need to be thinking and asking yourself. You really do. And if you take the decision you're going to go off with people you don't know, let somebody else know where you're going. Activate some kind of device or location sharing service, even if it is embarrassing for you, please. Even if it's embarrassing. Yes, we had a volunteer a couple of years ago, didn't go home on a Friday night. Okay, no news. I get a message at 6 o'clock in the morning. The volunteer has not come home. It's awful, absolutely awful. You know, anything could have happened. I send a message, I call, obviously there's no answer. I call you at 6 o'clock in the morning, and you, whatever you're doing, you've had a good time. I hope you've had a good time. That's brilliant, you know. But you're probably too embarrassed to answer the phone at that time. You just don't want to. So I get sent this message just saying, I'm okay. I said, thank you. I said, where are you? Oh, it was late, they said. This person, it was like, so we decided to sleep in the park. Right. Sleeping in parks doesn't happen in Spain. All right. It's just not something which anybody does unless they really are homeless. So obviously I could not go back to the host family and say, don't worry, she slept in a park last night. Okay. So we just came down. Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Good. Do you know how to get home? Yes. Would you like to share your location with me? Please do it. Just so I know if you're, 5 miles away or 50 miles away. So we got to that point, that compromise, and it was enough to know this person was safe. Okay. WhatsApp groups, as I said, which are really, really common in Spain. WhatsApp is everybody's way of communicating. As regards meeting people, there seems to be another volunteer said there's an app called Meetup, okay, which you can find people who are doing similar activities and meet up with them. They seem to be very good because they seem to be in public spaces. So yeah, I want to do some yoga. I can find some other people who are doing yoga. Where do we do it? We meet at the beach on Saturday mornings. Fantastic way of meeting people. Okay. As I understand it, it's free, and as I say, other volunteers have said it works quite well. And obviously, if you join a sports team or clubs, you know, through a local gym or something like that, that's really good. Also, Spanish classes. Okay, I'm going to write this down here. Escuela Municipal. Okay, the Escuela Municipal. Right. All towns, just about all towns in Spain have an escuela municipal, which is a public school run by the local council, which offers adult education from things like literacy for people who haven't completed their schooling to things like painting or photography, depends on the town. But one of the things they all offer are Spanish classes. Right. And they're a really good way of getting outside the school environment and meeting people to learn Spanish, people from other countries. And they're normally free or some ridiculous thing like you pay 10 euros and that's your registration fee for the whole year. Okay. When you get to your final destination, let me know and I will help them find. I will help you find the Escuela Municipal. But I know in Alboraya, in Leliana, in Villamayor, in Salamanca, in Santa Marta, you're going to have in Burgos. Wow, there's lots of places, Valladolid, all sorts of places. Okay. So meeting people. I don't know if people use, I don't know. I've heard of things called Tinder and Grinder. I don't know about these things. I cannot recommend them as a way of meeting people. Okay. I can only recommend these things and be very careful because there is this kind of weird stuff about online personalities, you know, presenting yourself as a, you know, particular, whatever it is, young man, young woman, young whatever, with a great profile. And would you like to meet up sometime? And it turns out it's not actually what it seemed at the beginning. Okay. Be careful. Getting around, we're in this. We'll go through it tomorrow as regards the getting the train tickets. Okay. Because um, I realized to get the train tickets, I'm going to need your passwords. So I'd rather do it individually with you. I've sent you some information via WhatsApp. So 3 people in Valencia who are at Tavernes and Castellón, you might like to use that. The other people in Guadassuar, the people in Valencia City and the people in Leliana, you won't need this. You can just get the metro pass, which is something completely different. Okay. If you want to get around, train is fast, it's reasonably cheap. Bus is cheaper. Okay. You can also get free bus passes between major cities on coach routes from now until the end of the year. There's also a voucher for that. But to be honest, buses are more common in the north of Spain, particularly in the Basque Country, than they are in the south of Spain. As regards air travel, well, Iberia is the national airline, so it obviously has the best network. Skyscanner will give you the best prices around Europe, around the world. And of course, there are low-cost companies like Ryanair, which will give you a flight. I mean, you can get to Italy for 20 euros, okay? You can get to the UK for 15 euros if you choose the right date. If you're traveling Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday, you can do that, all right, if you don't mind getting there late. There are other low-cost airlines as well. Just be careful when you're traveling that sometimes the low-cost airlines have slots, which mean you have to leave very early or you arrive in your destination very late at night and you cannot immediately get on to wherever you're going. So if you were going to the UK, Ryanair flights arrive at an airport called Stansted, which is about 40 miles from London. And actually, if you arrive at 11 at night, where do you go in London? It means you're going to get to London like 1 o'clock in the morning. Where do you go from there? Where do you stay? Right. So sometimes the very cheap flights might end up being actually more expensive than normal flights with something like Iberia. When you come, especially if you're from outside the European Union, you know, if you want to travel other parts of Europe, I say take advantage, do it. Okay, go to Paris, go to Italy, go to the UK, see them. All right, go see Rome. I just came back from Rome and Naples. Go and do it. You know, it's really easy to get to, frequent flights, and amazing, amazing. I'm happy to give you advice. Okay, the documents which you need to bring with you, remember your police certificate, your insurance, your passport and copy of medical reports and any prescriptions you use, and your EHIC EU health card or your insurance. Okay, those are the things you need to bring, digital copies plus paper copies of all these things, please. Right. Once you get here, depending on whether you're coming with a visa or not, we'll have a few local things to do. Max and Sebastian, you already know because you've got your visas. Jade, Jade and Lucky, we're going to have to look at how to do those things for you in Segovia and in Valladolid. There's no problem. We've got time to do them. Okay. One of the things you do have to do when you arrive is, if you're coming from outside of Europe, you must get a stamp on your passport as you arrive. And the second thing is you must keep a physical copy of your boarding card. A physical copy of your boarding card. All right. So if you've got it on an app, make sure when you're checking in your home country that you get a printed copy of the boarding card. And we've spoken about your phone companies and so on. Okay. So how will you get on in Spain? You're going to get it absolutely perfect. I know it. Okay. Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? I know we have, like Jade and Lucky have gone because it's quite late at night. Okay. Let's see then. Handanur, please. Question.
The thing you sent into the chat, into the WhatsApp chat with the train tickets from Tavernes to Valencia, is it possible to do that when we arrive, or should we do
You
this
can,
right now?
yeah, try it now. You can turn up at the station,
Okay.
okay, and ask for it, and they'll give it to you. They'll give you a paper one for €10, okay?
Okay.
So
Thank
no
you.
problem at all. So yeah, you could do that on the morning that you're coming into Valencia. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. So Sebastian, do they need to stamp the actual visa? No. It's a stamp on your passport. So it's the entry stamp on any page of your passport. Okay. Okay. All right. Laura is asking a few questions about things. Okay, fine. All right. Good. More questions. I know that Julius has a number of questions. If you could ask now. Okay. I've not dealt with the NIE number. Okay, the NIE number is absolutely necessary for people who are coming in with a visa. It is not necessary for people who are coming in on European, sorry, they're not necessary for people who are coming in on European mobility programs, and it is not necessary for people coming on a tourist visa. So if you're only coming in for 3 months, you don't need this, the NIE number. I suggested that with the NIE number, you would be able to obtain a greater number of discounts or travel passes, but we've been able to get these travel passes with your German passport. Okay, so it has not been necessary. So it is not necessary for EU citizens. If you were working or wanted to buy a house, yes, it would be. Okay. So there was a suggestion that it would be easier for our German volunteers to get it before they came. But unfortunately, the Spanish consulate doesn't really want to be involved in issuing these. Okay, more things. Hannah.
Yes, I have actually two questions. The first one is, what exactly do you mean or do you want with the insurance document? So, unfortunately, I don't know exactly what I should bring or which document you want me to bring.
Yeah, when you have an insurance document, this is for everybody. Now, if you're coming with the EHIC card or the GHIC card, which is the Global Health Insurance card from Germany or the UK, you're absolutely fine. You don't have to bring anything else. You literally walk into a doctor's or the hospital and show them the card, and they have to give you immediate treatment. However, if you're coming in with a private insurance policy, and this is the case of our German and American and Australian, New Zealand volunteers, you must have a copy, okay? Because when you go into a hospital, they're going to ask to see your insurance. Now, if you're from Germany, then the organization VIA has taken out insurance for you with I can't remember, Dr. Hector, I think it's called, the insurance company. It's fantastic, but they need to send you a copy of the insurance that you have that with you. Okay?
Okay, and the second question was actually about the EU health card. I know you talked about it like once, but I forgot to I don't know what exactly should I do with the health card? So do I have to
What do you have to do?
I don't know,
Well,
do I have to do it myself?
yeah, absolutely, because it's an individual and personal application, which you have to do through the health authority or health ministry where you live.
Can I just switch in? As far as I'm concerned, most of the German health insurances are European health cards. So you have to look on the back of your card. If there's anywhere written European health card, then you should be fine.
Wow, that's interesting. Now, maybe Leah, I don't know if you've got a copy of yours. Maybe you could send us just a photo of the back of your card, and then we can see what it looks like.
Sure,
now,
I can do.
Thank you. That would be great. Okay. In the UK, sorry, in Spain, it's really easy. You do it online, and you can download a copy until you get the physical copy, and that's valid as well. But I don't know what it's like in different places. Okay.
But like if I am privately insured, I don't know how you call it exactly, and I don't have any card, how do I do it then in that case?
Okay. In that case, you might have to that you take in your insurance when you go to the doctor or hospital, but they might charge you. You might have to pay, and then you send the bill back to the insurance company, and they give you the money.
So I don't have to get a health card, or
but it's better if you can get the health card because it's free. Okay?
But how exactly do I get a health card? So
then I think you should probably ask some of the other volunteers from Germany who have been able to get it. All right, because I don't know in each different country. All right.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, Julius.
Yeah, so I've got this card as well. What does it do again?
What is it? Let's see, Julius,
It's
can we
like
see
an,
you?
it's from VIA.
Via volunteer identity card. Well, it just says you're a volunteer. That's not your insurance. Okay.
Yeah, what does it do though?
I don't know.
I think it's just like a student idea, so you can get discounts on, I don't know, going to the cinema or something.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And the Spanish SIM card, we can already order it and send it to your address, right?
Yeah. If you want the SIM card, yeah, absolutely. You can send it to my address if you want to.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, those documents I mentioned in the last slide, I want you to have printed copies to bring with you. Okay. And also digital copies on your phone, on your device. All right.
I don't know what the TIA or local resident card is. I meant those documents. I don't have to already.
Yeah, don't worry about those. Those
Okay.
are once you're here. I'm sorry. Yeah,
Okay.
those
Perfect.
final ones, the TIE number, NIE number, those are things once you get here.
Okay, perfect.
Any more questions? It's really a good idea when you travel, and yeah, when you travel, it's really a good idea to read your insurance before you travel, and it will tell you and to know, what is the telephone number that I have to call to get authorization for treatment. Okay. Is there an online manner of doing this? I know that the private health insurance, which covers our German volunteers, has an it has an app which you can download, right? And it will tell you everything, all sorts of really useful information. And I think it has contact with a German doctor online who can give you advice about what to do. All right. So if that's that, okay, if that's that, tomorrow I will find the link. I'm going to ask Laura in the morning, if you don't mind. I'm just going to ask her to check the link, which we need to get the train tickets and so on. And I probably want some of you online, about 4 or 5 of you, to stay online. I might ask you to come a little bit earlier tomorrow. That is actually going to be anybody who's going at Salamanca, Burgos, Valladolid, or Segovia. So those 4 people specifically, I'd like to talk to you beforehand. And Zamora, of course, and Tabara. All right.
Should we come 5 minutes earlier then or something like that?
Yeah, come at 1 o'clock. Yeah, I mean, it will be good for everybody to see what we're doing online. Okay. But I specifically need you to be there. But I will let you know. Okay.
Perfect.
Good. You'll send a picture. Yeah, I'll send you all the documents, of course, the ones that you need. All right. Lovely. All right. Well, we will stop there for the moment. Thank